back to You'll Only Listen Twice, where we're taking a look at the Bond movies, both official and unofficial. We were talking about the fourth Bond movie, but we're on our fifth episode. That's right, we are talking about Thunderball today. As always, I'm Jake.
I'm still Troy.
But are you?
I'm Jan. Well, at least I'm not Troy.
Aw. Why do I always have to be Troy every week?
I would just end it, man.
All right. See you next time, folks.
Just eject yourself from your yacht, jettison your cocoon, and just crash into an island.
Jettison my cocoon.
Jettison cocoon.
Put on a nice movie like Never Say Never Again and drink a bunch of pills and then
You know what, guys? I think I
drift
just need
away.
to go to a relaxing spa and become a Frenchman? Is that what happened here?
Well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. So,
There's lots to talk about.
lots to talk about here. Like I said in the beginning, we are talking about Thunderball. Like So we should probably, before we talk about the plot of Thunderball, we should get into the behind-the-scenes drama of Thunderball, which is almost as interesting as the movie itself, if not a little bit more.
Well, that's not hard with Thunderball.
Hey, don't you start with me. Don't you
just
start with
saying.
me on that.
This episode's just gonna be us piling on you, Troy,
Look,
and not in the way that you'd like.
man, it's never in the way I like. For listeners at home, I may have a different opinion on Thunderball, which I might have changed. But you'll have to listen.
Oh my god. Oh my god, this is exclusive.
This is going to be a suspense. Troy may have changed his opinion on a movie. Ooh.
Oh my.
Wait, Jake. So you're telling me that there's a James Bond movie with behind-the-scenes drama?
What?
I'm shocking. So we went from Russia with Love being a cursed production to Goldfinger. Pretty much the filming of that seemed pretty smooth. And then now Thunderball is the very inception of the idea of Thunderball, from book to everything. Everything about it is fucked.
Yeah, so originally it was a script, right? Ian Fleming. Tell me, Jake, was it for a TV or a movie?
It was it was a movie.
Okay.
He partnered up with a good old man by the name of Kevin McClory.
Dun dun dun!
Yes. Who invented everything? Spy movies, spy genre,
Yes.
spies, the concept of spies, the concept of guns, the concept of sleeping with women, the
I
concept
Spy.
of water. Yeah, I Spy. Spy versus Spy.
Mission Impossible.
Sean Connery had never worn a suit before Kevin McClory gave him a jacket and a nice collar shirt. Before that, he was just wearing like kilts and hair.
He dressed like a milkman because he was a milkman before he was an
Yes.
actor.
As we all know, the previous James Bond movies, he's just dressed like his character from Darby O'Gill and the Little People. But then
Oh.
when Kevin came in, it all got fixed.
Yes. So anyway, back to Kevin McClory. They were working on a script. So Ian Fleming sold the rights to Casino Royale sometime after its publication, or even beforehand. I'm not sure. And he was going like, you know what? We could do a Bond movie. And he teams up with Kevin McClory, and they have a screenwriter named Jack Whittingham. And they work out a plot involving an evil organization named Spectre. They hijack nukes, and Bond has to stop it. Ian Fleming got very bored with the process, apparently, and allegedly Kevin McClory's like recent movie scared him away from going further with this movie. So what did he do? Well, Ian Fleming had a knack for taking, because this isn't the first rodeo that Ian Fleming had, because he had written ideas and collaborated on ideas for like a Bond TV show, and some of that turned into short stories that were in For Your Eyes Only. So he would just take the ideas. If it didn't go anywhere, he would just use them as a Bond story. And that's just what he did with Thunderball. He just was like, well, this isn't going anywhere. I'm going to take that, I'm going to publish it, and I'm going to put my name on it. No one else helped me. And this enraged Kevin McLaury, who went after Ian Fleming, tried to sue the pants off of him, and the legal rights to Bond were fucked up, let's just say, for like 40 years because of this Kevin McLaury guy.
This book, Thunderball, not only introduces Spectre, but also Ernst Stavros Blofeld. Was he in the script that Fleming was collaborating on, or did Fleming introduce him in the book and then Kevin McLaury just kind of took everything that was in the book and was like, mine?
I think so, because they couldn't use Spectre for a shit ton of years after this.
I think Blofeld, or some character that is similar to Blofeld, I don't know if it was like Blofeld in name, if he was named that. He probably was.
We have the internet. We can figure this out.
We should do research before this.
Look it up.
Whatever.
Whoever's listening, just look it up.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But originally, Thunderball was going to be the first Eon production James Bond movie. And they couldn't do it because a lawsuit was going on in 1961. And so they're like, what's our backup? Dr. No. Okay. Dr. No is also easier. And thank God they waited, because they would go on to do Thunderball. So the way they were able to do it is they worked out a deal with Kevin McLaury where he was just like, all right, I'm going to be credited as sole producer of this movie. So if you look, Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman aren't listed as producers. And there's a credit where it says based on an idea by Kevin McLaury, Jack Whittingham, and Ian Fleming. It's not based on the book, even though it does say Ian Fleming's Thunderball.
Yes, it does.
And basically they did that because they wanted to make sure that Kevin McLaury couldn't just go out and make his own rival James Bond series that is only based on Thunderball, which he would do later on with a little movie that has never been mentioned on this podcast. Did you hear that? Kind of sounded like the first couple notes of Never Say Never Again.
No!
Okay, anyway.
Now, wait. Maybe you already said this and I tuned you out. But wasn't Thunderball supposed to be the first James Bond movie?
Yeah. No, I said that in the beginning. That was supposed to be the first
Listeners,
Bond movie.
Thank you for bearing with us. I'm all caught up.
Pay attention, Troy.
I was singing Never Say Never Again.
We're running a tight ship here.
Did you know originally in the original screenplay, Spectre was just the Sicilian Mafia? Imagine that James Bond franchise.
That would have been great.
Blofeld's like eating pizza, electrocuting people who like don't like Dean Martin. Like, it would have been fun. I'm just saying.
I would pay good money to see James Bond versus Tony Soprano.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Woke up one morning,
got myself a nuke.
Oh my God, in my improv class the other day, someone who is Italian said gabagool, and I'm like, hey, can you say that? And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, you're Italian, we're all Italian. And also anyone can say gabagool. That is always acceptable.
This is anti-Italian discrimination.
This is anti-Italian discrimination.
That's what Blofeld would say to Bond. Is, you anti-Italian Maragan.
I could buy you an eatery.
He would still say, I'd buy you a delicatessen.
I would still buy you a delicatessen.
I would buy you a delicatessen.
This is anti-Italian discrimination. But we'll save that for Your Eyes Only, for those of you who for some reason are watching the Bond movies for the first time along with us.
Well, along with some people. I've been watching the Bond movies for a long time. And as I said on the first episode, which Jan, you remember.
Yeah, Jan,
I don't expect
of course.
Troy couldn't even remember that I mentioned that Thunderball was supposed to be the first movie. So
no, the boy has dementia.
So this episode is about Thunderball. Thunderball was the first James Bond movie I ever watched.
Whoa!
Which is pretty. Honestly, if I had to introduce James Bond to anybody who hasn't seen it, I would just show them the first 5 minutes of Thunderball, and that's basically James Bond in a nutshell. Because, like I said in the first episode, that opening, the combination of the pre-title sequence and the title sequence is just peak, extreme, gold standard James Bond shenanigans. It is so what the fuck, engaging, exciting, but we should probably talk about the plot of Thunderball. Jan, I know I've asked you the past couple weeks to describe the plot of the previous movie. So,
Well, I do it so well.
you do it so well. You don't have to go too in depth, but what is the basic gist of Thunderball?
So, Spectre steals nukes, and they ask for money, or else they'll nuke a city.
Yes.
That's it. That's the plot of Thunderball.
Let's give a hand for Jan. He explained the plot of Thunderball.
Woo! And James Bond goes to a spa for 1 hour and then an island for the second hour.
Yes, and it's great.
This is the most, like, Austin Powers got its whole, like, $1 billion kind of thing from this movie. Because, like, all that Spectre wants is more money. And how they're going to do it, we're just going to nuke you fuckers if you don't
If
give
you
us
look
money.
in the fine in the fine print of the Austin Powers poster, it says written by Kevin McClory. They have to put that there legally.
He invented James Bond.
He
He
invented
invented
James Bond.
and Austin Powers.
And Austin Powers. And Dr. Evil. And evil. And good.
And a United Ireland.
As well as Secret Squirrel.
We don't talk about Secret Squirrel on the podcast.
But how, you ask, did Spectre get a hold of these nukes?
Yes, how?
So, this is the plan of number 2. A guy called Emilio Largo. He has an eye patch. He should be a fun villain, but he's very, very boring.
See?
Oh,
anyway.
I love Adolfo Chandler.
Oh! Boo Largo!
He does nothing.
He has an eye patch. He's great. He looks great. He looks like a pirate. He has a ship that he steals booty, and the booty is 2 nuclear missiles.
I was
The
telling
things he
Jake.
does are pretty cool, but he's just nothing.
I was telling Jake.
Unlike
I was telling Jake that back when I was 8 years old, my first exposure to the adventures of James Bond was a 1964 Sears Roebuck Christmas catalog that had a playset of all the wacky, fun adventures you could get into from Dr. No through Thunderball. And it was so cool. And I saw Largo with an eye patch and a gun and a boat that splits into 2 boats. And I was like, this is so dope. Thunderball's going to be so fun. And instead he just sits there and kisses his ring and does diddly squat.
unlike
Yes.
his sidekick, I guess we could call her, Fiona Volpe.
Yes.
She's awesome.
She is so cool. Apart from being one of the top 5 hottest Bond girls ever, in my opinion. Can we say that? Are we gonna get canceled?
I'm canceling you right now.
Jan, we can't do the Thunderball episode without me saying that Claudine Auger, who is Domino, is the prettiest Bond girl in the series. So, yes.
This does have the hottest Bond girls, but
Yeah, I
I
would
don't even
agree.
know if
I
we're
would
allowed
agree.
to.
It does.
I don't know if we're allowed to say it. Like in this year of 2020.
I think they should have given them more agency and allowed them to use their own voice. Actually, Fiona Volpe's actress, even though she's
that's
Italian.
her voice. That is her
she's
voice.
Italian, but she can speak English.
She's pretty cool.
I like her.
She's probably one of the best evil henchmen in the entire series, I would argue.
I am going to be lame and say I prefer Fatima Blush to Fiona
Fatima
Volpe.
Blush has.
Because she's crazy. That's so much fun.
We'll get to Fatima Blush. She is off a rocker, but Fiona Volpe is like the less. It's playing it straight more so than Fatima Blush, because Fatima Blush is just like pure camp and silliness. Fiona Volpe is just like the most competent person doing this mission, except for her ring.
Fiona Volpe asked the question, can James Bond not turn a woman to his side with his magical little bonder? And this movie says, no.
She's stronger than Pussy Galore.
She's stronger than his dingaling. Can I say dingaling?
No, you could say cock.
Okay.
I mean, the censorship these days is
I
crazy.
don't want to get canceled for dinging in the ling. Okay.
This year of 2020, stuff has been crazy with censorship. I think someone should come in and buy Twitter and make it a free speech.
But can we rename it to an underwhelming horror movie from 2022?
Oh.
I
What
saw
are you talking
X for the
about?
first time 2 days ago, folks. It's pretentious. Like Thunderball, actually. I believe I gave them the same rating.
So, anyway, back to Thunderball.
Yes. So
Another big first for the Bond series is the first Bond movie to be shot with anamorphic lenses.
Ooh!
So it looks even bigger.
it looks pretty great, I must say. It's
Yeah,
probably
no.
the best looking James Bond up till this point.
Terrence Young is back in the director's chair, and while I do think Guy Hamilton, put a gun to my head, I might say Guy Hamilton had the better career overall. But I do, and Goldfinger is better than any of Terrence Young's Bond films. But I do think that Terrence Young's style is back in this movie. And you get like the blood in the water in the frame, and you get like such inventive little touches. The atmosphere is back.
But he is also imitating Guy Hamilton.
That too.
Yeah.
Because this movie is so much sillier and so much stupider than the first two that he directed.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how much it was him being like, okay, this worked, so I'm gonna do that, or just the producers being like, do Goldfinger again.
Oh, that's totally what he was thinking. It's just like, well, Goldfinger worked. I could do that, basically. And with Thunderball, it's kind of hard not to, because it is about a terrorist organization hijacking nukes in the most convoluted way possible.
Yeah, just an insane way to do it. So let's take it step by step. So okay, first of all, the pre-title sequence, 10 out of 10. We all
Yes.
agree with that,
For
right?
those people who have not seen the pre-title sequence and are listening to this, the pre-title sequence, you think you're at James Bond's funeral. He's like, those are just my initials. It's actually some French dude. Then he watches the
Jacques Bouvard.
Jacques Bouvard. So he watches a woman walk into a car, and he follows the car, and plot twist everyone. The woman gets out of the car by herself. So James Bond goes.
And James Bond is waiting for her
Yeah.
in her room. You know how the scene is going to go.
He's gonna fuck her.
He punches her so hard across the face, and she goes flying over a table.
And then it's like, oh my God, it's the dude. It's the dude that was in the coffin. For some reason, he attended his own funeral as his wife, and James Bond's gonna kill him.
And he's played by longtime Bond stuntman Bob Simmons.
Yes, it's Bond against himself. It's pretty cool.
It's also funny because in the first 3 Bond movies, the Bond in the Gun Barrel is Bob Simmons. This is the first one. They had to reshoot the gun barrel because they switched to Panavision for this movie, and they did it with Sean Connery. So it's fitting that in the very first sequence of the movie, Bond is killing the guy who replaced him in the first 2 movies. Like, no, I'm in charge of the gun barrel now.
You're in a dress now. Time to get strangled.
Yeah, they say that Daniel Craig is the psychological Bond, but there's nothing more psychological than what we see in these first 5 minutes. It's like a Roman Polanski movie. It's like a thriller. You've got the terror, you've got the cross-dressing, and then you have James Bond literally fighting himself. And then, Troy, tell us what happens.
And then James Bond runs outside, and for some reason, he has left a jetpack on the roof. So he goes and puts on the jetpack, and then he has to put on the helmet.
Well, by the way, this is a actual working jetpack that was developed by the Air Force. An actual jetpack, and the only pilot who could fly it was like, I am not getting on that thing without a helmet.
So Sean Connery puts on a little snow cap, and then he jets off, and then he gets into his car, and then something else happens. Does something else happen?
Well, yeah, it's the DB5, which somehow returns.
It's back, baby.
The DB5 is back as the standard issue equipment. He launches up in the air, he meets the French lady, takes off the jetpack, and they sew it in the truck, and he says, no well-dressed man should be without one. And then she's like, yes, very practical.
No well-dressed man should be without one.
Yes, very practical.
They get in the car, people are shooting at them, they turn on the rear screen bullet projector, and then they shoot them with water. I don't know if it's supposed to be the oil slick, but it's water.
Yeah.
Shooting them with
Yeah.
water, and it sprays the camera, and we get probably the best title sequence in the entire series, or the most classic one. It is. We're not doing any of that Robert Brown John bullshit where we're projecting images onto women. We
It's
have
like that.
full Maurice Bender, naked silhouette lady swimming in an ocean of colors and stuff with this over-the-top Tom Jones song as evil bad guys with spear guns are shooting at them.
I was gonna say it's not maybe it's not the best Bond opening title sequence.
I think it's up there.
It's like the first official one, you know. It's the
Yeah.
one that cemented everything. The
Yeah.
hot babes dancing. Well, that's about it. But you know, it introduced it. You know,
Aqua colors, silhouettes,
the
just
silhouette.
Tom
And
Jones.
the song is a fucking banger, man. Like Tom
I
Jones.
think it's okay.
Where did that guy come from? Who is this Tom Jones? Did he ever do anything after this?
So, did you see that episode of Duck Dodgers where Tom Jones is performing on an alien planet and Duck Dodgers, who is Daffy Duck, is performing on another alien planet? So, Duck Dodgers steals Tom Jones' voice and he has to go, "It's not unusual," and he sings like Tom Jones. But Tom Jones, who has Daffy Duck's voice now, "It's not unusual," and he's like, he wants to die. And that's a 20-minute cartoon from 2003. That was my first exposure to Tom Jones. So to answer your question, he's a Looney Tunes character, I believe.
He did the theme song to Duck Dodgers too.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why he did.
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
Dodgers of the 21st century.
Anyway, to answer your question, he actually comes from Wales.
My first exposure to Tom Jones was Mars Attacks.
Oh,
and I
Probably
still
the best
believe
use of Tom Jones.
it's the best use of Tom Jones ever, apart from Thunderball, of course.
what did he do in Mars Attacks? I didn't partake in that movie.
He's performing in Vegas, and then the aliens attack, and he basically becomes one of the lead survivors. He's like helping everybody out. He's just a genuine good guy, and at the very end, he sings "It's Not Unusual" as animals
And the
dance,
animals
and
dance.
the animals dance and sing. Like a hawk flies up to his arm, and there's like a squirrel rocking back and forth, like da 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 da.
Can we just give a second to talk about how Mars Attacks is one of the best movies ever made?
I like
It's
Mars
pretty funny.
Attacks just about as much. I believe I gave Mars Attacks the same rating I gave X and Thunderball.
You are so wrong on both, Troy.
This is the 2-star movie hour. Boop, 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 boop. Anyway,
So going back to Duck Dodgers.
Porky Pig was the eager young space cadet. Did you know Bugs Bunny never appeared in Duck Dodgers, but they would hint at his existence in the wider universe?
Oh boy.
Cartoon
Well, how
Network
many
wouldn't
Duck
allow it.
Dodgers shorts are there?
Well, there's only like 3 shorts, but the TV show was like 52 episodes.
Okay, and the TV show is the one where it had like a Marvin the Martian, like hot girl.
Yeah, the Martian Queen who almost married Duck Dodgers at multiple points, and Marvin Marsden was like, "Why did you want to marry the duck? What happened?" And then there was that one episode where they unfroze Dave Mustaine, and he had to lead a heavy metal band to save the universe.
It was a genuinely good show.
No, it was a good show. It was written by Paul Dini, actually, who wrote for Batman the Animated Series and all those great cartoons.
But what Paul Dini did not write was Thunderball, because that was all Kevin McClory.
That was all Kevin McClory.
That was all Kevin McClory.
You know,
Correct. Yeah.
if you look at the fine print of the Duck Dodgers theme song when Tom Jones is singing, it says created by Kevin McClory. They have to give it to him.
Theme based on melodies originally whistled by Kevin McClory.
So anyway, Kevin McClory, creator of Duck Dodgers, and also the creator of James Bond, and
And the
Thunderball
Looney
is part of
Tunes.
that, and the Looney Tunes, and but he also did a movie in 1965 called Thunderball.
Wait, this is 65?
This is 65, yes.
What? Oh my god, I watched the wrong movie. I thought it was 64.
Wait.
Never
Oh
say
yeah,
never.
I was gonna say, so you watch a movie from the 80s?
Guys, why was Rowan Atkinson in a movie in 1965? I don't like that.
Why did Sean Connery age 20 years in
Why?
in 1
Why
year?
did his wig not move the whole? Oh wait, no, that's
still Thunderball.
That's still
Thunderball.
Come on.
Okay.
Anyway,
All
so
right. Where are we in Thunderball? Have we gone to the spa yet?
no, we haven't gotten to the spa, but we're introduced to Emilio Largo, who parks his car, illegally parks his car, and a French officer's like, "Hey, no parking here," and then he just looks at him with his cycloptic eye, and the police officer says, "Oh, pardon, Mr. Largo," and he goes inside, meets up with where is he at exactly? It's like some
a
sort of
refugee displacement. I looked this up. It's a refugee displacement charity, which is Spectre's front. So
Yeah,
they're helping bring people into your country in Europe.
That's why you don't support any charities, because you don't know who might be behind them.
Guys, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ian Fleming would not be a big fan of the European Union.
What makes you say that?
Fact that we're reviewing a super right-wing conservative film franchise. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're part of the woke mob, Troy. You're part of the problem.
Jake just activates something and blows up my chair.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, how dare I just reached for my button. It's not working though.
Oh,
How-
I live
how
again.
The woke button.
How?
You're part of this problem. You couldn't make a James Bond movie in 2023.
That's why they're not even trying.
Well, we have No Time to Die to look forward to, you know.
Yeah. He has no time to die in that one. That sounds
No.
fun. He had a lot
No.
of time to die in Thunderball with its glacial pacing.
Continuing on, we are introduced to Spectre, and they're up to evil deeds. I did notice that one of the Spectre agents was Inspector Dreyfus's assistant in the Pink Panther movies, the French guy.
Yes.
I was just like, oh, hey, I didn't know you were in this movie.
Well, and isn't Kato? That's his name, right? The Kato.
Kato was in
one of these
Goldfinger.
two?
He was in Goldfinger, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of Pink Panther parallels.
Another Pink Panther actor's on it, I think, playing one of the Spectre agents, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we're introduced.
That should be our next franchise. It should be the Pink Panther.
Did you not
Yes.
notice the giant pink panther like slinking around his chair during the meeting?
Jan, you do know that the next franchise is going to be Airport, of course.
Oh, God.
God
The only
damn
thing
it,
more
Jake.
dated than James Bond is Jake's obsession with the Airport franchise.
And he just got obsessed with it like 2 weeks ago.
I know, he wasn't even a child when he saw it. This is a
I
new
watched
thing.
I watched all four of them in one day, which Kevin McClory also made Airport
Yes, and the Pink
Yeah.
Panther.
and the Pink Panther. Yes,
And also the presidency of Lyndon Baines Johnson.
yes. Did they go skinny dipping with?
Oh yeah. He got to help Johnson measure his trousers, if you know what I mean.
Did
Read a book.
did LBJ burp on the phone with them? Go ahead and like, hey,
Yeah.
we need to do something about that James Bond.
Okay. Well, wait. Can we get to Spectre's plot? Because it's really weird to me that they want money from England to not blow up Miami.
Well, they want money from England and the United States, right?
United States.
Yeah, they're like functionally one government in this movie.
Yeah, basically, tomato, essentially.
That's also what struck me is like they're like, give us £1 billion or we'll blow up Miami, and everyone's just naturally thinking like, fuck it, do it.
No, they don't know where it is. They don't find Bond doesn't find out where they're going to use the bomb until 2/3 of the way through the movie. Or actually, no, close to the end, like 15 minutes left of the movie.
Yes, but why didn't they choose New York or Washington D.C.? Why Miami?
He wanted to go after Dink. That's why, because Dink got away.
Dink!
Oh yeah, Dink.
Felix, say hello to Dink.
Hi, Dink.
Every time Felix Leiter calls Bond, he's like, is Dink dead? He's like, I
Is
haven't
Dink
talked to
dead
her in
yet?
3 years. What? Is she dead?
Very soon, very soon.
I went to Miami once. It's
Did you know that
I can't-
Miami was founded by Kevin McClory also?
I buy it. That
I
feels
did
like
know
Kevin
that.
City.
It makes me uncomfortable to talk about being in Miami. It was a very traumatic experience. I don't even like to think about Miami. if you're from Miami and you're listening to this, I'm sorry that you have to live there with your grandmother. It's hell on earth.
I've been to Miami. I've been to Miami twice. Once I didn't go outside. The second was around Christmas time, and I went outside. It's not my favorite city. It's better than like Houston.
Oh, you hear that, Paul?
Oh.
I gave Houston the same rating I give Mars Attacks X.
Nothing if not consistent, Troy. Consistently wrong. That's right. I've been so offended that I'm weighing in, and I'll even introduce myself. I'm producer Paul. How's it going?
He grew up in Houston.
I didn't grow up in
Producer Paul is now leaving.
Oh no.
I had to introduce myself so that I could storm out, and you'd feel the impact. The audience would feel my absence. A resounding silence.
Crying and masturbating over a map of Texas.
Oh, like watching.
What did you
Thunderball.
say about Texas?
And now he's pursuing SpongeBob and Patrick in a fit of rage.
And they brought me out of my treehouse.
Guys, Thunderball is such an interesting film, apparently.
Well, no, it is. Okay, let's
Well,
get
look,
back.
we're already off to a strong start. I see no problem so far. The guy gets out of his car, he goes in, they got a crazy room where he pushes a button and people go into a hole, which I think also happens
in Austin Powers. Will
Yeah.
Ferrell is an offensive Middle Eastern stereotype, and he gets sent to an incinerator, and you hear him go all the way down. It's a good
And he's
bit.
stuck down there.
Yeah.
You shot me right in the arm. Why did?
it's barely not Willy Wonka, you know, like
That's what's amazing about it. Like this evil organization is in this refugee building, basically, and behind a secret door is a cabal of madmen plotting to extort wealthy people, committing terrorist acts, and electrocuting each other when they embezzle their money. It's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So the Gates Foundation, essentially.
Yes.
allegedly. We're not
Allegedly.
saying
Allegedly.
that. We're not saying
Allegedly.
that.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it-
No, I would never say that. I would never say that.
Jan, I've been meaning to question you on the forums you've been looking at recently. It was between Doug Walker porn and
Remember, folks, he's the only one of us that's married.
I'll have you know I found my wife on a 4chan message board. Thank you very much. And we're very happy together.
Okay, so he puts the guy goes down to shoot. Then do we go to
he
the
electrocutes
spa?
him first. He electrocutes him first and then puts him into the chute. Number 2 gives off his plan. It's like, our plan is going into full motion. Cut to Bond is at a
Spa.
It's like a spa.
Ah, he's just
'Cause
chilling.
Ian Fleming
He's
was at a
a
spa.
A health
Yeah.
spa.
He's at a spa that conveniently happens to be right next to a military airplane zone.
So the bad guys intentionally are based out of this health spa that is conveniently next to a NATO air base because there is a man named Mr. Angelo who is bandaged up, who we later learn has gotten plastic surgery to resemble a pilot named Durval, who happens to be the brother of the lead Bond girl in this movie, Domino.
Also smoking.
Yeah,
Also
she's the best.
smoking.
Love Domino. Needed more Domino. I forgot how much she's wasted in this movie, but we'll get to her in like an hour.
She's fun. We'll get to at this pace. And so Fiona Volpe is posing as Durval's secretary.
And he's banging her.
Well, he's banging her, but then he leaves to go to work and he opens the door. He finds himself via rear screen projection, and he gets gassed and killed with gamma gas, same gas they'll use in the plane to kill all the pilots. And
A truly Lynchian shot, I must say.
yes.
And there's already a motif going on here because a guy gets killed by himself, and then we open with James Bond attending what you think is his funeral, but then it's a different guy attending his own funeral.
Who then gets
It's a very
killed.
Lynchian film.
Who is played by the stunt double of James Bond, who played James Bond in the gun barrel of the first 3 movies.
Again, this movie's genius. Okay.
But what's interesting in the book, the NATO pilot, it's all one guy. Domino's brother is the NATO pilot, and he sells himself out to Spectre, and he gets killed. It's in the movie where they were like, "Hey, we can't make NATO look bad. We gotta have a weird plastic surgery thing."
Okay, that makes sense because I always wondered why they, why didn't they just do that?
It's
Yeah.
fun because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
Was it? It wasted my life.
But no, so the guy comes in, he wants more money for all the work he's done. He hijacks the planes, and he has to he gasses the pilots, crashes the plane into the Bahamas, where Largo is there with his yacht, the Disco Volante, which means flying saucer in Italian.
Mamma mia.
Mamma mia. So they
So this is this is James Bond versus the.
Hey.
Oh.
Well, okay, me and Jan are allowed
All
to
right,
wait.
we're bleeping that.
Jake and Paul can't say that. Me and Jan can say,
Yeah, I'm Italian.
I'm Italian. I'm more Italian
What
than
ass,
anything
pussy?
else. Scusi?
Yeah, let's say that.
Nascita, morti, matrimony. I look at a
All
lot.
right.
I can repeat the line.
Move along.
So this really is James Bond versus the Italians.
No, you can tell they didn't. Kevin McClory and Ian Fleming didn't put a whole lot of effort into changing Spectre in this. Meanwhile, what is James Bond doing for the first hour of this movie? Pressuring spa employees to have sex with him.
Yes.
Well, yes.
yes.
And there's the sexual assault is almost the same way that Terrence Young watched Goldfinger and said, "I can do that, but better." He saw the sexual assault in that and said, "I can turn it up a notch." Like,
I can make it more explicit than ever before.
Yeah, there's that first time before Bond goes on the stretching machine where he just like grabs her and then like starts making out with her and she's like, "Behave yourself, Mr. Bond," and you're just like, yee.
yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about the stretching machine.
Yeah, the whole that.
So there's another man at the health spa with Mr. Angelo, and he is another Spectre agent. And so this guy is seeing Patricia, and he has a tattoo, which Bond is like, "That's weird." And he notices that Bond notices his tattoo. So when Bond is being put on the stretching machine, he goes into the stretching machine and turns it up, so he's humping the stretching machine.
Yes, again, I feel like they wanted to create a scene of suspense, like in Goldfinger with the laser. But in this one, it's a thing that we don't know what it is or how it's hurting him or if
and it
it
doesn't
can
make
kill him.
sense.
It's the weirdest shit. The POV shot where he's just going
Yeah.
back and forth.
I just love when
Is
Sean Connery just
nightmare
screams, "What the
inducing.
hell?"
Like everyone, this scene always gets defended. Film Crit Hulk and other people defend the scene because they're like, "Get it? James Bond's gonna get sexed to death because it looks like he's having sex and he's gonna die." And I'm like, okay, but I'm not. It's boring.
it's funny.
I'm bored and I don't know what's happening.
I think it's fun.
Like, it's like the
It's
first
fun.
YouTube poop ever.
It is.
Hey,
Dun, 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 dun,
Orson
dun,
Welles
dun,
is like
dun.
sobbing in a well in Spain where his ashes are.
It looks painful to me. I don't want to be stretched to death.
I don't know what's going on there, but it don't look good.
Can you die from that? It just looks like he's anyway. I don't know.
Yeah,
Fucking
it,
going
it,
on
it
that thing.
All right. So
Contrived.
anyway, basically, he gets back at the Spectre agent by locking him in that sweat tank thing. When he puts the broom inside,
Yeah.
he gets his revenge and goes like,
It's prank wars.
back to Bond being his good old mischievous schoolboy self, where he's just fucking around with these people. He's like, these people are sketch. I'm just gonna fuck around with them. And also something's not up because they're really bad at covering their tracks. And so after they kill Durval, they disguise him as Mr. Angelo at the clinic to make it seem like he died. But Bond's just like, that's really weird how he's just dead and all these sketch people are around him. What is the deal with this? And Bond leaves the health spa, but he's about to be killed by that Spectre agent. But he gets blown up by Fiona Volpe because Blofeld even goes like, yeah, that Spectre agent sucks at his job and got noticed and couldn't even kill Bond and do this like one simple task of escorting this man who is disguising himself as another man in order to hijack a plane full of nukes. coincidentally, Bond gets called in, and he gets called into a briefing room, a giant briefing room filled with all the 00 agents.
That's cool. It's cool to see all the double O's.
I like the pairing. I like how we see all the Spectre people, and then we see all the 00 agents, like a kind of mirroring.
And they're numbered.
Yes.
They are numbered, Paul. Good job.
So here's a fun fact. I don't know if this is true, but it'd be amazing if it was. The original idea for that scene was that you'd pan over and look at all the 00 agents, and in that lineup would be Harry Palmer from the Imchrist File, Napoleon Solo from The Man from Uncle,
Oh.
and like all these different like spy,
Inspector Clouseau.
Flint from In Like Flint, Matt Helms.
Jake, for a second, I thought you were drunk, and you were like, Harry Palmer! And I'm like, oh, wait, Harry Potter didn't even exist yet.
No,
What are you
Harry
talking
Potter?
Harry Potter, Arnold
about? Harry
Palmer.
Potter!
There was gonna be Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, Darth Vader, Tom Jones.
All there, all 00s. Superman is in this movie, but we'll
The
get
Joker.
Oh yeah, he's in the
Yeah, Superman is in the movie.
yeah, he's at the parade.
Yeah, there's a parade. There's a guy walking around in a Superman outfit.
Yeah,
Because Kevin McClory created Superman.
Kevin McClory
Yeah.
created Superman.
Don't believe those lies of the Jerry Siegel estate.
He also created Batman.
And Inspector Clouseau.
Well, everyone created Batman except for Bob Kane.
Everyone created Batman. I created Batman.
I created Batman over Bob Kane.
So they find out the plan. We've talked about what the plan is. They hijacked nuclear missiles.
So maybe we should, yeah, because before the palace meeting, their big maps and all that, which is very cool, we get the first extended underwater sequence, right?
Yeah.
Right after that, yes.
The highest, the stealing the nukes.
This is probably the first James Bond that is identifiable by a very specific theme like that, right? Like after this, it's
Yeah.
like this is the water one, and then it's like the next one's the Japan one, and the next one's the Vegas one.
The next one is Bond in a kilt
In the Alps.
in the Alps.
But the point is, like, that's the snow one, you know? Like, from here on out, we have one very specific thing for a while
Yeah.
until we get back to.
Goldfinger had Kentucky Fried Chicken jam.
Yes, yeah.
How dare you deny Goldfinger?
We had Istanbul and the Orient Express and From Russia with Love. Okay, so yeah, they steal the nukes. We get well, we already talked about stealing the nukes, but
Yeah, I think we've covered that nukes are stolen.
Well, there are a couple of things I wanted to point out.
Paul wants to talk about the anamorphic lenses shooting underwater because Paul and I just watched the movie Legend.
You guys watched Legend
You
without me?
motherfuckers.
That was the one movie I've been trying to get you guys to watch since the second Obama term.
I memory hold that because obviously we can't even remember the beginning of this podcast. How could I possibly remember the Obama term, which was only 4 years ago, Troy?
Kevin McClory created the Obama terms. You have to pay him for Obama.
Though he also created Trump. So
Yeah, he's pretty hit or miss.
he's a bit of a madman.
Would we say Joe Biden is the never say never again to Obama's Thunderball?
Well, if he becomes president, which we can't know right now.
Yeah. I think Joe Biden would have Rowan Atkinson in his administration.
He is the Rowan Atkinson of presidents.
Anyway, let's talk about Legend. So, Paul, were you gonna bring up?
Oh well, sure. We were a little bit baffled. The behind the scenes didn't seem to explain why, but we watched the director's cut of Legend, which is supposedly the preferred cut. The underwater scenes are not shot in anamorphic, but they are presented anamorphic, which means they are stretched and everything is fat. And I'm thinking to myself, was there a mistake here, or was this on purpose? Who knows with the director's cut, right? Obviously, Thunderball did not have this problem 20 years earlier.
20 years earlier, it looks gorgeous. They're able to get those Panavision cameras underwater.
Yeah, and I would say watching these, I guess this is the stuff that gets a little bit divisive because there are long sequences of this film that are dialogue and sound effect free,
Yeah.
and are underwater.
And we get John Barry's do 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 do,
Very
and that is the only thing you hear. It's
The
very
score
cool.
is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and I would say the editing and it, like, obviously a lot of it's shot in a tank. It is remarkably clear, especially considering a film from the 60s.
Okay, excuse you. There are scenes on the beach where there is notable gunk on the cameras in certain shots. It was really distracting.
Yeah, they
me.
didn't.
Like,
They didn't check the gate
when-
on some scenes.
Yeah, when Bond and Domino walk on the beach,
That's because Terrence Young was fucking drunk.
when Largo and Volpe are looking out over the sea, there is gunk on the camera. And I'm like, you think you have a pretty movie, and then suddenly you got this.
Oh, that's, I did
garbage.
notice that in 4K or whatever the fuck it was. I bet that's like salt spray or something. Okay, I just wanted to note that.
You're trying to say that Ridley Scott is a hack con man and a terrible director.
He should stop now while he's ahead. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Napoleon comes out in a month. I'm so fucking pumped for Napoleon, guys. That's going to be amazing.
What are you talking about, Troy?
All right.
So
So
Napoleon.
Napoleon.
What year is it? Is it 2020 or is it 2023? I don't know
Thunderball
what
is
you're
so
talking
long.
about.
Thunderball is so long and drags so long. I'm excited for October of 2023, everyone.
Come on, let's get back to track because this is the Pile on Troy episode because
No,
Thunderball's
you're proving me
fucking
right
awesome.
with every word you speak that is not about Thunderball.
The subtitle of this episode is "Fuck you, Troy. How dare you not like this movie?"
Because we've talked about Duck Dodgers, we've talked about Mars. We are barely.
That was your
into
doing.
Thunderball.
You know what you're doing.
you are.
And I'm shutting it
I
down.
will not sanction this before.
Good luck, Paul, editing this episode.
Thunderball is the one Sean Connery film of James Bond, besides Never Say Never Again, coincidence, that I feel is not the most entertaining thing to watch. And this time, I don't know. I was like, oh, underwater's so pretty. Oh, everyone's so good. But the whole movie is like Terrence Young's back, and he's like, oh, I'm going to try to make the Mad Max Fury Road of like 65. And like, there's no talking. There's no sense of structure. Money Penny pops up here. M's over here. Q's like an hour and 15 minutes into the movie. Everything's just all over the place. Domino, the best Bond girl, is in only like 3 scenes. And then she disappears for 40 minutes. And everyone in this movie is just kind of floating, ironically.
Well, there's still the ticking clock of we need to find out where the nukes are because Bond is the only one who has a lead because Spectre is terrible at their job. And he goes like, well, I saw this guy dead in this health spa. So send me to Nassau and...
Oh my God! Guys, Bond can't find his hat!
Oh yeah,
Oh,
what
yeah.
the fuck was up with that?
I was going to mention that. I'm like, I have no idea why
what
that's
is
there
that?
because this is like the
Is
last...
it because he killed the guy who wore the hat originally, so he can't find it?
Bond comes in with his hat.
Yes.
When he comes into MI6, he puts his hat, he's about to throw it, but the hook is right next to the door, so he just slaps it on the door.
That's funny.
And then I don't know if they shot it on a different day and they couldn't find the hat. And so when they,
You think he actually lost the hat?
I don't know because I'm like, it's either like a thing where they're going like, we're getting rid of the hat because Bond doesn't wear a hat from this is the last time we see the hat like in the movie besides the gun barrel for the next couple movies until Roger Moore. I don't know if it's like this is like their meta thing of commenting on we're getting rid of the hat, or if they legitimately lost the hat as they were filming
I think
it.
the latter.
I think I had a hat when I came in.
And Sean Connery commented on it, or they're like, "Oh, let's just work it in, a la Rocky," where nothing was working, and they're just like, "Oh, we just comment on it." And
They had one
nobody would
hat.
care.
They had one hat.
Look, this was a low budget movie. They only had one hat.
I still think it's odd job. I think Bond, like, he tries to do the thing with the hat, but he's like, he can't because he remembers Jill Masterson getting killed by a hat.
No, it's because the hook is just right next to the door. Why would he throw the had if the hook is right there.
Yeah, right. The feng shui of the whole office is messed up. He can't even hit on Moneypenny correctly. It's all a mess. It's all a mess.
It's not a mess. Q looks really cute in swim shorts.
All right. So we need to get back. So he goes to Nassau because his lead is the sister of this Derval guy, and Domino is the mistress posing as his niece of the main villain, number 2, Emilia Largo, played by Adolfo Celli. Well, talking about Domino and Largo.
Domino!
And just like the plot in general with this movie, with the stealing of the Dukes, a woman that is kept by the main villain who intends on destroying the world or doing bad things. I thought a lot about Tenet.
What?
I feel like
is this you told me,
think,
Jake, that you had been saving something for this program.
Yes. It's a very small thing because Christopher Nolan always talks about how On Her Majesty's Secret Service is his favorite. I am convinced now, watching it again, that Thunderball is his actual favorite because it seems like out of all the Bond movies, he goes back to the tropes that are present in Thunderball, like doomsday weapon, kept woman by the bad guy, the protagonist of this operation, getting under the skin of the main bad guy, and then a big, epic, almost incomprehensible. No, I'm just kidding. You understand what's going on, but like a big action scene at the very end where they have to stop do a last-ditch effort to stop.
This all applies to The Dark Knight Rises.
It's all Tenet. It's Tenet.
And Oppenheimer.
It is also the plot of Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Jake, check the fine print and then rearrange Jonathan Nolan's name. What does it spell? Kevin McClory! He wrote Tenet and he wrote The Dark Knight Rises!
He is behind it all. Actually, what I was going to say is that I watched this film, Thunderball, that you may have heard of, and...
What?
We're talking about Duck Dodgers, Paul.
Yes! I love Duck Dodgers. That was great.
It reminded me of a different film. The nuke has a label on it that says "handled like eggs," and that made me smile. And
Yeah.
and the closest equivalent I could think of was the recent or future film by Wes Anderson, Asteroid City, in which there is a nuke that says "Do not detonate without presidential approval." Anyway, so clearly that's a signifier of Terrence Young getting some of that Guy Hamilton energy back.
Yes.
Troy, so what we're trying to say is that Thunderball is good and you're stupid.
No, I will say this. I like Thunderball more than Tenet and The Dark Knight Rises, both of which I gave 1.5 out of 5 stars.
He's nothing if not consistent.
What about Asteroid City?
Oh, I love Asteroid City. That's
Well, there you go.
If we were in 2023, that and Theater Camp would probably be my 2 favorite movies.
Kevin McClory inspired just so many people. He touched so many hearts.
He's like the Albert Einstein of screenwriting. Like, he changed the game. Because he's like, what if we have an evil organization made up out of Italians that is not inherently Italian?
Well, there you go.
And I know. You know, if you rearrange The Sopranos and you move the letters around, it says The Spectre.
Okay, Troy, God damn it, we need to get back to Thunderball. Okay, so...
Can we get to the part where James Bond meets Largo and he goes, "The Spectre of Defeat! Spectre to meet you! Spectre, Spectre, Spectre!"
I also wrote that down.
I
yes.
love that because, as they mentioned in the movie, because everybody gets mad, like, why doesn't he just shoot him? Because they'll immediately know the nukes are there if they do anything to Bond. If they do anything to Bond, they know that the nukes are there because they're like, I found this. I just so happen to have seen this guy at this health clinic, and also Domino is dating this old eye patch man. He seems suspicious. It seems like a strong indication that this guy probably has the means to steal 2 nuclear bombs. And so he just takes advantage of every single minute of it, of just going like, oh, your Spectre against mine. What are you going to do about it? Because what is he going to do about it? And even Fiona Volpe later is like, you're too hasty. You want to kill him because he's hitting on your girlfriend, and you're an idiot because everybody's gonna know we have the nukes if they don't already.
I feel like the whole why doesn't the bad guy just shoot James Bond thing was immediately resolved in Goldfinger for the rest of the series, because James Bond is like, you do know if you kill me, they'll just send another 00. You know, and then Goldfinger's like, yeah, that's a good point.
The thing about James Bond, everyone's always like, why does he use his real name all the time? And what you realize, starting pretty much from Russia with Love, is that the whole point of James Bond is he's the famous secret agent. So, like, he has diplomatic immunity. Like, Spectre can't just be like, oh, we wanna, but like...
He doesn't really have a license to kill. He's just too famous to get arrested.
Yeah. Like Fiona Volpe is like, oh, James Bond, I know the plot to Goldfinger. And it's like, well, why? Why do you know the plot to Gold? Okay.
Oh yeah, I was actually reading in my big black James Bond book.
Your big black what?
Jake, I don't trust those large books.
Keep talking while I try to find it.
Well, I was going to say, every time I see this movie and Felix shows up, I'm like, how old is Gary Busey?
Felix is the weirdest age.
He's the barber from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Who plays Felix in this movie? Is it Rick Van Nutter?
The Nutter is James Bond, if you get my drift. Please clap.
So Bond has another agent helping him, played by Martine Beswick, who you might remember as one of the two women who almost fought to the death to have sex with James Bond and From Russia with Love.
Oh yeah, one of the
She's back.
Romani people.
Richard Maybaum, one of the two writers of Thunderball, had the opportunity to compare his work on the 1965 film to the script he had written just 4 years earlier. I realize how much we have been influenced by audience reaction. Indeed, Thunderball had to find a balance between the sophisticated wit of Fleming's novels and Bond's more recent cultural ubiquity. By the time Thunderball went into production, writer Maybaum was noting, there is hardly a comic who has not attempted to take off on him. The result was a more self-aware commentary. A villainess in the film, which is Fiona Volpe, mocked James Bond as a sadistic brute and declared that, unlike Pussy Galore and Tatiana Romanova, she would not turn to the side of right and virtue after sampling the charms of Secret Agent 007. So, Paul, I know you mentioned a couple episodes ago that every James Bond movie is a reaction to the previous one, even if box office was fine. So they were doing it since the beginning.
Yeah.
Like we said last episode, Goldfinger is probably like the last James Bond movie to have like an original idea. Every single other...
What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is every single other James Bond movie is either reacting to the previous one or copying something else that is popular, including James Bond.
The second they were like, we need to go back to the Caribbean, you're like, oh, we're already doing Dr. No again, huh?
Yeah, by this point the mold is set, and I was gonna say, I think he comes straight in to his hotel room, and we're already doing a redo of the From Russia with Love, like checking the room for bugs.
Well, that's Terrence Young, baby.
Well, here's the thing: is that in Dr. No, he booby traps the room by just by putting powder on his suit on his briefcase, and then he takes a hair and he puts it over a closet. Now, what does he do? He has a tape recorder inside of a book that just records when he's not there, so he could listen back and know that there is a man who has broken into his room to...
Oh wait, yeah. So that's actually probably the best hotel room scene. I will say this: I'm going to compliment Thunderball. This is probably the best hotel room scene Terrence Young's run, because Bond is like looking for someone to shoot because he thinks someone's in his room in this movie.
Well, because he hears the footsteps on the tape recorder, and the camera follows where those footsteps might have gone.
Yeah. And Felix is at the door, and he's like, shush, shush.
He opens the door, Felix is there, and he goes like, hey, 00, and he punches him really hard in the stomach. And then he goes in the bathroom, and then knocks out the guy, and he's like, sorry, Felix, but you were just about to say 007.
Felix is like the worst spy ever.
Well, he's the American. He's the guy in charge of protecting Miami.
But at least they kind of cast a guy who resembles Jack Lord more than the guy from the last movie.
Yeah, Van Nutter is more of a Jack Lord.
Because the first time we see him with the sunglasses, and that's how
That's true. That's true. I don't know if Sean Connery is giving a crap or he just is not challenged by the material, but I do love when Q pops up in like an hour 15 minutes into the 2 hour and 10-minute movie, and he's just like 007, and Sean Connery just goes, ugh.
I love the Q scene.
I think it's awesome too.
The very first time the very first time he sees him, just Bond looks away and goes like, "Oh no, 007."
It takes it up a notch from like playful animosity to not only just fucking hate each other, man. And I think it's so
it's great.
funny.
It's like even more school. Like I love when he's like fucking with the propeller, with like the underwater air tank / jetpack thing.
Yeah, and Desmond
he's fucking with the
Llewellyn
lights
has
on
a
it.
little hat, and he looks cute. And I want to give him little butterfly kisses.
He's looking good. He's beach casual, and he gives Bond another classic influential gadget, the rebreather from the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
He's going to Gunga City.
Did Kevin McClory write We Need a Bigger Fish?
Seriously, Kevin McClory inspired so many great movies.
I know. God bless. There should be like a holiday for him. Or
Yeah.
McClorial Day.
Not
only did he inspire them, but he most likely created them, you know?
Okay, so Bond is in Nassau. He meets up with... Oh, we haven't talked about Paula.
Yeah, so Paula is this cool character for a James Bond movie. The first time we see like another woman. Though 003 in the group scene is also a woman. But this is the first time we really see Bond with like another woman companion as agents in the field. And they have fun interactions. And then she's just killed.
She kills herself. Like a good agent, she fucking bites into that cyanide pill.
But why? Why is this in
because
the
they're
movie?
torturing her, and Bond is too late.
The movie's over 2 hours long. Maybe we cut out that subplot.
Okay. This let's start the debate proper. Thunderball, slower than the other movies? Yes. Do the underwater scenes, are they cool? Yes, but are they kind of a mess and a little bit slow? Yes. But is the movie really that different from the other three?
The other three have interesting characters. We were talking last time, like, you see Bond and Goldfinger, like, one-upping each other through the whole
What?
movie.
And you
Pushing
don't
towards
see
one
that
upping
with...
each other. Largo is boring.
Largo is not
so boring.
Who's Margot?
Largo is the main villain of Thunderball.
Adolfo Celli.
Wait, Barbie?
Barbie
Barbenheimer.
is a better movie than Thunderball.
I will agree that Largo is boring, but it's just a silly old time, Troy.
Yeah, look at that eye patch. He should be dope. Instead, he's so boring that he got cast in like a Borgia miniseries in the 80s, and then he came to set, and they were like, oh, he's so boring, and he actually can't speak English. We need to fire
I swear
him.
to God, with the fucking book reading and referencing the Borgias, we're not gonna turn this into a fucking nerd podcast, okay? I will beat you guys up.
Oh, says the one married guy on the podcast. He's married and employed, folks.
Gloves are off, people.
Look at
Gloves are off.
Well,
This is getting real.
I'll have you know that marriage is wonderful, especially when your wife came from 4chan and she knows Big Chungus, the current meme, the world's.
Somebody touched my spaghetti.
touched my spaghetti.
Forget.
PewDiePie.
All the classic memes from the year 2020.
Yes, Babe
but
Nation.
anyway, me personally, I love a good underwater thing, and to me it's more fun than the same amount of runtime allocated to him like checking into a hotel.
But that has Sean Connery, so you're like, ooh, he's charismatic.
This
What's
is
going on
Sean
in his
Connery
brain? This is, like,
also.
random extra. He's not in any of the underwater scenes. You
Yes, he
think
is. He almost got eaten by a shark. Jinx.
Forget the shark. When he's underwater, he doesn't have the toupee, so you can just see like his little strands of hair floating around.
He looks like a
He
different
looks
guy.
like a different guy.
He has the goggles cemented onto his head.
Yeah.
holding whatever bits of hair he's got, and it looks great.
He looks like
I will say I love the orange jumpsuit. I think this has some of the
Yes.
best costume design in the series. The orange jumpsuit is fire. Black
I
and white
agree.
swimsuits are fire.
and the poster is great with all the babes like surrounding him.
I have a little tin poster of Thunderball. Oh, I have Dr. No from Rush with Love over here. Thunderball belongs right over my front door.
I think
It's right there.
between our friend group, don't we all own like 8 James Bond posters?
The 7 of those are Jake's, but yes.
Yes.
Anyway, can we talk about the kills in this movie? James Bond kills a woman by dancing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So Fiona Volpe shows up in his bathroom and she's taking a bath. She's like, "Give me something to wear." And then he just gives her a pair of shoes.
Classic.
And he's just like, "Why are you here?" And then she's like, "I don't know." And then he's like, "Let's fuck." And then she has the line where it's like, "Do you like animals, Mr. Bond, James Bond?" And she's like biting him. He's like, "Ah, wild. They should lock you up in a cage." And she's like, "This bed feels like a cage." It's a fun scene. It's a fun little.
They go for
little-
it basically consensually, and then it turns out both of them were
God.
conning the other.
Because James Bond does not enjoy having sex with women.
This
We
is
find
the
out in this
most
movie.
important, probably the most important moment of the film. The line, "What I did this evening was for king and country." You don't think it gave me any pleasure, did you?
Which doesn't make any sense because Queen Elizabeth II was in charge of England. Who's the king?
He does say a line afterward that
Did he say, "Oh, Fiona, oh, Fiona, I'm gonna bust a load"? Is that what he said?
something like that. No, but he says something like, "Oh, it was good for me," or something like that at the very end of that scene.
Well, you can't win them all.
He says something along
Some
those
sex
lines
thing,
where-
which I know about that. I've had sex before. I know what it is.
And then they dance together.
Oh.
No, and then they put him in a car and they're about to kill him finally, but then some guy is trying to sell them like moonshine, and he pours the moonshine and uses Fiona's lit cigarette to light the car on fire. And he
Oh,
runs
that's cool.
out, gets shot in the leg, and he has to hide throughout the parade. And there is a if you look closely, I didn't notice this. I was doing research afterward, and then I went back to the scene and watched it. There is a shot where it's a wide shot of them looking for Bond, and there is a dog just peeing in the middle of the.
Yeah.
That's what
the
that
parade.
dog was doing there. I saw the
It
dog.
was-
I'm like, what's it doing
Yeah,
there?
no, there's a shot of the dog peeing, and if you look behind that, there are a group of people in the parade that are wearing 007 masks
What?
because they just happened to be there because the parade was going on and they knew that they were filming in Nassau, so a bunch of people dressed up with masks that said 007.
You think Sean Connery just went up to them and like punched them in the stomach, every single one of them?
No, apparently they didn't even want to use the shot of the dog peeing because there were the people dressed in the 007
But it's so
masks.
iconic.
It's so I didn't even notice it until somebody pointed it out. But I guess they needed that shot like for pacing reasons. So yeah, Bond is shot in the leg. He hides out in what is the name of the club that he hides out in?
I'm not a nerd.
The kitty cat. I don't fucking know.
The ham and rye.
The Kiss Kiss
The
Club.
Kiss Club. That's right.
What? Oh, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, the deleted opening song. Oh my God.
And for if you are a fan of the game, Everything or Nothing, the Bond
Yeah.
game, that's the name of the club that he goes
yeah, I
to.
remember that.
Where, Maya's there.
Amazing game. Are we gonna talk about the games at any point?
Oh, we should.
I've already talked to someone this week about the games they played.
Now we got to talk about Thunderball because we're going a little bit over.
We're getting the home stretch here.
We're in the home stretch here. So Fiona shows up at the Kiss Kiss Club and they're dancing, and she's like, "You cannot escape." And all the guys are lining up, including Vargas. And Vargas takes out a pistol and is aiming at Bond, and she's like positioning him so he'll get shot. And then it just keeps cutting. Then we have a montage that cuts back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At the last second, Bond twists Fiona around. She gets shot. And it is followed by probably my favorite Bond or Sean Connery
Incredible.
one-liner afterward.
Incredible delivery.
It's in the top tier for me. If it's not my favorite, because there's a couple in Diamonds Are Forever that are pretty good, but when he sets her down at the random table, Sean Connery delivers probably in the top tier, like best delivery, also just best Bond lines. He drops Fiona off at a random table, and he just goes
"Fuck this."
Well, he goes like, "Will you look after my friend? She's just dead."
She's just dead.
And then just runs. Like, he's just like, the fact when he goes from like laughing about it, like going like, he's just dead, and then like immediately just runs away like in fear.
Yeah, the little look
great.
that he gives at the end is just gold.
It's just gold, just going, just dead. Shit. Runs
Do you
away.
ever think about the couple he drops her off next to, like what their reaction was throughout the rest of the night? Like Bond's on this adventure, and I'm just thinking about these two old people who are like, oh, she's really had a rough night. Oh, huh? She's cold. Oh my God, there's a bullet hole in her bed. We didn't do it.
They were probably too drunk to even notice.
He's a professional life ruiner, so that's on brand.
Yeah, it's a very James Bond thing.
Can you imagine if they made a James Bond movie where everyone came back because someone was the author of all their pain, because James Bond was the author of all their pain? That'd be
Oh, like Franz Oberhauser. That'd be terrible.
Wait, what's the name
We
of
did
that
get
movie?
it.
What's the name of that movie?
It's called Octopus.
I'm
Octopussy.
getting a letter from Kevin McClory's estate saying you got to call it Spectre.
Oh God.
Because Kevin McClory created Spectre, Jake.
I really hope that Kevin McClory's lawyers don't find us. We're being too hard on him. So
No, but unfortunately, Cartoon Network's lawyers have found us.
Why would they go against us? We're giving him what he's always wanted. We're giving him the credit.
Every time we say Kevin McClory, an Irishman wins another $5 from Albert Broccoli. I'm drunk.
Those degenerates.
Alfred Hitchcock.
But yeah.
Alfred
So
Hitchcock.
James Bond, basically, he has the most James Bond reaction he could ever have after ejaculating into a woman, which is running away, partying, and then killing her.
Yeah.
Again, this movie is considered more feminist than Goldfinger. Why? Who's to say?
Because of Fiona Volpe, because she is fucking awesome. Anyway, going to Domino's, so they find the downed plane in the middle of the ocean at was it the Golden Reef, which is now called the Thunderball Reef. So Bond dives into shark-infested waters and he finds like the big tarp where they covered the plane, and he gets the fake Derval's dog tags and his watch, and then he meets up with Domino in the ocean, and they fuck in the middle of the ocean.
Which don't try at home, folks. You will get an embolism.
It must be incredibly uncomfortable to have sex at the bottom of the sea.
Also, you would die.
No, it's awesome. It sounds awesome.
Jan, you make submarines that explode on impact.
It's even more uncomfortable because what does Bond say right afterwards? But I hope we didn't scare the fish.
Yes, and then he sucks her toes.
Well, he sucks her toes to get out the sea urchin spine or something. And
Kevin McClory also inspired Tarantino.
Anyway, continuing on. So this is when Bond tells Domino that her brother, Francois, is dead, even though he got the remains of Francois from the doppelganger. Yeah. And it's this very emotional moment where Domino finally realizes that Largo's a bad guy and killed her brother. And Bond feels so bad for her that he holds away his tears by putting on a pair of sunglasses. And
then he fucking shoots someone with the harpoon.
And Vargas is sneaking up in the background. And then Domino just goes like, "Oh, Vargas is behind you." He's like, "Oh, really?" And he turns around and fucking harpoons him against a tree. Which he says, "I think he got the point."
I think he got the point.
I like it. I like it.
It's fun.
Sorry, I just remembered the scene where Largo is like, I think he's talking about Vargas, and he's like, he doesn't fuck or something. He's like,
No, he doesn't have any vices. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't even make love.
yeah. And then you think he's gonna say like he only kills or something like that, but he never completes that sentence.
Because it's implied. He just looks like a sketch dude.
He's just cucking this guy for no reason. He's just standing there. He's like, he doesn't make love.
Is Bond gonna fuck Vargas or something? What do you
could.
Compared to the sexual tension with like Oddjob and like Red Grant, I don't know. I felt I wasn't rooting for those two kids to get together.
Yeah, so Bond gives Domino a Geiger counter to see if the nukes are on board.
Wait. Can we talk about what happens to Domino? So she gets captured by Largo. What is he
Yes.
doing to her? Ice in a cigar?
Ice and hot and cold
Oh
applied
my god.
specifically, it'll hurt like hell. I guess.
Ooh.
I think the implication is he rapes her, right?
No, he doesn't. He is just going to. He has the ice and he has the cigar, and then the scientist guy who later helps out Domino. He has a change of heart for apparently no reason.
Yeah. He's the
I
pussy
think-
galore of this movie.
Yeah, he is no, because he feels bad for Domino because he's like, wow, Emilio Largo's an asshole. I mean, he's about to nuke Miami, but he's an asshole.
And she's pretty. But
And
like
she is pretty.
a guy that we've only seen like in the background of scenes turns up and he's like, I'm a super important character right now. He like disabled the bomb or whatever. And you're like, who are you? What?
Well, he is mentioned because he's like, oh, this is better than winning a Nobel Peace Prize earlier in the movie when they steal the. That's a line that Largo says to him.
Yeah, in the middle of like long stretches of like men in flippers.
Anyway, so Bond figures out the location of where the bombs are gonna go off. He finds him stealing the nukes from a secret hideout. He gets stuck there, but the radioactive pill he swallowed helps him out and he swims to a cave. The CIA get to him, and then they intercept Largo off the shores of Miami, and there's a big underwater fight. That is awesome. I used to think the underwater scenes were kind of boring, but they are well executed. You can tell what the hell is going on. Even though, actually, I do kind of think that the water the battle, there's only so many times you can show someone getting like speared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they have the signature move, which is he just cuts everybody's air tube.
He either
and then
takes
they're like,
off their
"Ah."
goggles. Yeah, no, he takes off their goggles or cuts their air tube. There is the cool shot of like that one random guy just getting stabbed in the fucking eye.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. The water battle is like all my issues of Thunderball signed up. I'm like, this is a really cool idea. Oh yeah, some cool moments. Oh, it's still going. Okay.
What I find funny about these underwater scenes is that they clearly shot it at the most shallow water. Like,
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
4 feet above from the surface. And it's like, why are you doing it here? Just swim up a little.
The bit where the guys parachute into the water with the Miami skyline in the background. That's pretty good.
It's pretty cool.
Very cool.
As a wise man named Zack Snyder once said, it's pretty cool.
I don't know. If I want a baller underwater movie, I'm going with James Wan's Aquaman. And also he goes to Italy. He fights Italians in Aquaman.
James Bond hasn't read Pinocchio either.
James Bond would eat flowers if you gave it to him as well.
The other thing I was going to say about the underwater battle, is it Bond or somebody else that has a harpoon that shoots out of the top of his backpack,
No, that's Bond.
just like Django Fett?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Invented by Kevin McClory.
Kevin McClory
Yeah.
did Attack of the Clones. All the prequels.
Enough
Kevin.
of this nerd shit. This is not what audiences want.
All right, can we talk about sharks? Like cool, rational adults. Sharks got murdered on this movie. Sharks
Yeah, it's
almost
fucked
murdered
up.
Sean Connery. Yeah, if you don't like seeing animals killed in this movie, they shoot a shark on screen. And even in the movie, they're
Yeah.
like, this is just for a thing.
Going back to when Bond breaks into Largo's hideout, that shot of the that wide shot of the shark, just as Bond's getting out of the pool, and a shark is like going right after him, and you're just kind of like, oh my god, what the fuck? That was a dead shark. that they pulled on a line, and there were live sharks
Jesus
there.
Christ.
And apparently they were like pulling the shark along, and then it got too close to a live shark, and like the nerves of the shark went off and like bit at the live shark, and the shark retaliated and attacked the dead shark while there was someone underwater pulling the dead shark.
Wow, this is just like the cold open to Thunderball, where James Bond is killing his stunt double.
Another Lynchian moment.
A Lynchian moment. This movie, I will give this movie credit. The whole cliche of sharks around the secret base all comes from Palmyra here, baby.
Yeah, Palmyra.
And also an Austin Powers stable.
So big fat battle. They round up all most of the Spectre guys. Largo gets away. He has one bomb left. Battleships are attacking the Disco Volante. They're like, "Oh, we could take out this yacht." But what happens? Largo says, "Jettison cocoon."
Jettison cocoon.
And freaking dumps the back end of the yacht that's like rigged with machine guns, and they're shooting at the guys to distract them. Largo is speeding away with the second nuke. Domino is freed by the scientist guy because he has a change of heart because of who the fuck knows, because of Domino, I guess. Bond sneaks on board. Frickin' awesome fight scene. Peter Hunt is going apeshit.
Yeah, it suddenly completely goes 180 from, perhaps somewhat laconic underwater battles to everything is double speed, which he would do for a shot or two. It's the whole sequence. Once
scene.
He climbs into the boat and starts beating them all up, the whole thing is like, double speed.
It really works though for the scene. It's just like every single like hit.
And the boat keeps like almost crashing into a rock, and then they
Yeah, they have to turn it out of the way, and like every single punch, like there's a cut, and like people are like flying back. Freaking Bond is getting beaten. He gets to the point where he has a bloody lip. People are throwing chairs. It's crazy. And then
it's Peter Hunt on cocaine.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Sorry, I meant Kevin McClory, who also edited this movie.
Yes, Kevin McClory invented wipes.
Yes.
Anyway, and now it's just down to Bond and Largo, and Largo has a gun. And he's like, "I got you now." But then we hear a spear gun go off.
Domino is back.
She gets a win.
She goes like, "I'm glad I killed him." And Bond's just like, "You're glad." Which brings us back to why this movie is Tenet. Or Tenet was very inspired by Thunderball specifically.
I do very much. The whole going backwards in time battle where it's just a bunch of random people in suits fighting each other, and I'm like, this is going on too long.
When James Bond orders hot sauce, that really reminded me of Tenet.
When Robert Pattinson came in and said, "I'm Batman, you gotta think a little bigger, darling," that really reminded me of Tenet.
When I saw Tenet, that really reminded me of Tenet. I got an admission to make. I didn't watch Thunderball. I just watched Tenet.
Did you invert so you unwatched Thunderball?
I watched Tenet on an iPad in a hot tub, which I was like, this is pretty much watching Thunderball, right? There's water involved.
Anyway, they kills the guy. Largo jams the controls with his body in his one last act of defiance. They have to jump off the boat. The scientist guy doesn't know how to swim. We don't know what happens to him, but he has a life preserver, so he's fine. Bond has an inflatable raft, and then he's working on something. We're just like, what the hell is he doing? He gets sky hooked out of there, baby, and him and Domino fly out of there. Another Nolan thing. He becomes Batman.
And he doesn't even have a line. Once again, it's wordless,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, this really got to me, because, like, in all the other Bond movies up to this point, there's a little moment where he, like, enjoys being with the woman. In this movie, they're just yanked, because the whole focus is on the yanking. It's on the spectacle. It's on being too big. Where is the character? Where is the intimacy?
Where is the character in a Sean Connery James Bond movie?
Troy, we get that blue screen shot of Connery like laughing and Domino laughing as they're being skyhooked. They're like, aha, and she's in his arms.
It is about the gadget. It is not about each other.
It is a great fucking ending. He's embracing Domino. Domino's embracing him as he's being lifted up into the air as they fly off into the distance, and they're still being dragged by the plane.
Credits roll. And at least in the version I saw, it did not say he would return.
Oh, interesting.
Because the original credits said Bond will return on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which they didn't do because that was supposed to be next, but the filming locations fell through. Well, On Her Majesty's Secret Service was supposed to be filmed after Goldfinger, but then they were able to do Thunderball, so they're like, we need to get Thunderball out right away. And then they were going to do it after Thunderball, but then the locations fell through. So then their solution to getting rid of that title card is that the credits end early. So they just ended the movie early.
They do end abruptly.
Yeah. And that was their big idea. And also, depending on which version you watch, I don't know if it's the UK or US version, the ending has the James Bond theme, the classic James Bond theme. And then in other versions of the movie, it ends with the Thunderball, not the Tom Jones Thunderball theme, but like the instrumental, the
I think that's the one I watched. The ending, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Troy, with the you want more characters.
This movie, it's all about the spectacle.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Pulp adventure, film noir, crime, spy. It's all about the wacky, goofy characters. You want to see Bond and Goldfinger go up against each other. If there's no chemistry there, and I mean, Connery and Claudine Auger, they have chemistry, but it's not really fully there in the movie to explore because she's not introduced until an hour in, and she's not there for another 45 minutes. I think he spends more time with Kissy Suzuki in the next film, and she's like not even the main girl for the first half of the film.
But does that even matter? Like,
Nothing is developed. It feels good in the moment, but then you wake up in the morning and you're empty inside.
You wake up in the morning and you're empty inside like James Bond.
Yeah. It's a 4D experience.
It's all about the ride, the vacation to the Bahamas, stopping a cycloptic bad guy.
Yeah.
Deep sea warfare, nukes, beautiful women, funny lines. Thunderball has it all. So
another day for the Caped Crusader.
Another Batman will return.
Batman is cool.
My father, he walked into the movie and he goes, "When will they start talking?" And I'm like, "Not for a while, Dad."
That's right. It's cinematic.
Listen, you motherfucker. I'm gonna put the record straight here, okay? Is this movie as good as the previous ones? No.
No.
Yes.
It is better than For Much With Love and Dr. No.
No, absolutely not.
For Much with Love and Dr. No are more spy. They have more memorable characters.
Stuff happens.
They have layers.
Stuff happens.
Evil layers.
There's a ticking clock in Thunderball. The action is huge. The lines are funny.
That's I will agree with Troy. Like, even though there is a ticking clock, I don't really feel it because everything is going kind of slowly. But I don't dislike it because of that. I'm chilling with it. You know, this is a vibe movie.
You're invoking the definition of a vibe movie where it has to be a spy movie.
Why'd you say that name?
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I have to go kill myself now.
So do not speak. We're bleeping that. We're bleeping that.
We're bleeping that. Yeah. Now we're at the point of the show where we give our final thoughts on the movie, and we also grade Sean Connery's toupee.
Yes, very important.
Jen, you can go first. What did you think of Thunderball?
Thunderball? Well, even though ironically this has been the longest that we've been talking about a James Bond movie.
Just like how Thunderball is the longest James Bond movie.
It's gonna be a fucking nightmare for poor producer Paul to edit this.
This is his first episode he's editing by himself, folks.
Yeah, he's growing up.
It's a disaster.
But I curiously enough don't have much to say about Thunderball other than it's a good time. Like I like it.
What's your thoughts on his toupee?
Well, first I gotta rate the movie. The movie I would give like a 7 out of 10. Yes, it's more of a set piece movie than the other ones about the little fucking games that you like, Troy or whatever.
I want
But-
the characters to be smart.
The set pieces are very fun. It's very silly. It's got sharks. It's got a villain in an eye patch. It's got grenades that explode underwater. It's got Sean Connery swimming around without his toupee, which is shocking.
Shocking.
And the girls are really fucking cool. So I give the movie a solid 7 out of 10. The toupee. This is a tough one. Because the toupee is better than Goldfinger in that it looks more like real hair. But for some reason, it's not slid back anymore, which was a James Bond staple to have his hair like that. Now it's just kind of flat. It's just it's like a mop just there, and it makes him look a little bit older. Wait till we get to Diamonds Are Forever, where he looks 68. But this was the start of it. But it looks okay. It looks real, and he still looks good. So I'm gonna give the toupee again like a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. It's nowhere near as close as good as the toupee from Russia with Love. That's the gold standard, I think.
Troy, what did you think?
So toupee, I feel I'm in a safe space. The toupee in this movie is cartoony. It is obvious. It does not move. It sits perfectly upon his head like a little light black souffle, perfectly coiffed. But you know what? This movie is a big cartoon, and I think this toupee fits the subject matter of the movie. I think he looks like a Lego guy, and I think having a Lego guy toupee
that's
is
a hot take.
excellent.
Yeah, he looks like what's his name? Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town with that.
Yeah, Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. Yeah. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Oh.
R.I.P.
All right. Now my opinion on the movie. So watching Thunderball, I'm like, am I wrong? This is so colorful. This is fun at parts. And there were isolated moments of fun. But then the minute that the first camera goes underneath that water, the movie starts to sink and it starts to drag. And I just remember all the fun we have. There are 6 official Sean Connery movies, each with wonderful characters, crazy escapades, fun camera tricks, fun gadgets. And Thunderball, of all of them, feels the most like coasting. Like, we're just going to do sensation after sensation. And yes, it's all very technically impressive. But as Ingmar Bergman said, the great subject of the cinema is the human face. And when I look and I see that Connery and Claudine Auger are not able to form chemistry, when I see the absolutely waste of space that is Sully as Largo, who is just nothing, just a pale imitation of Goldfinger, I'm forced to go that while this movie does have some nice things about it, it is definitely the weakest for me, on unless it changes on a rewatch, of the official Connery Bonds. 4 out of 10. My rating stays the same.
Well, Ingmar Bergman loved this movie and Crocodile Dundee, so yeah, fuck you.
Well, Ingmar Bergman couldn't keep a marriage going to save his life, so I don't agree with him on everything.
Neither can I, so take that.
Anyway.
That's right, bitch.
All right. So my thoughts on Connery's toupee. Hot take here between you guys. I actually don't mind the toupee in this one. It has to do a lot of work because it has to be wet all the time. And I'm mostly giving my score out because of this one shot. Right after they escape the Disco Volante and they're witnessing it crash into the island, Bond comes up out of the water and his hair falls over his face. And Bond slicks his hair back to get it out of his eyes to look at the explosion that's going to happen. From that shot, I will give this a noteworthy 8 out of 10.
Yes!
That toupee. As for the movie, You dick.
You brought me on here for my opinions. I stand like Patrick Starr in a Coliseum of peanuts.
I get what I deserve.
I get what I deserve.
Anyway, so my thoughts on Thunderball. I admit that I am a little bit biased because this was the very first Bond movie I saw. I saw it as a wee lad, and that opening scene just fucking blew my mind. And I always, out of the Connery movies, when I was a kid, Thunderball was my favorite, mostly because it was the first one I watched. So I have like this special reverence for it. Over time, I kind of thought that the underwater scenes were like slow, and it does drag the movie to a halt, and the other movies have like this wicked pace that just keeps going. But I still like it, like in the general group of Connery movies. It's my second favorite Connery movie. Watching it again, I did not have that caveat of the underwater scenes are boring. I don't know, for whatever reason, I can't articulate as to why I felt this way, but I was somehow sucked into every moment that was happening underwater. I followed through on everything. Does it overstay its welcome? Objectively, yes, but what's there is still fun, and you can follow what's happening. The rest of the movie is it looks gorgeous. Those Panavision cameras are fucking milking every single.
Get your milk metaphor out.
Come on.
milk my tits. Those Panavision lenses. The action is fun. I love Adolfo Celli as Largo.
What?
The look is just there, and he has a good antagonistic relationship with Bond because Bond is after his girl.
Anyone can wear an eye patch and be mean to James Bond.
I enjoy it. That's why I give Thunderball a 4 out of 5, because it's the fourth James Bond movie, and I still, maybe it's my rose tinted glasses talking, but 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5.
I don't know why, but I'm still laughing about you saying milk my tits. I don't know, I feel like that's a good soundbite that we could use.
Milk my tits. Milk my tits. Milk my tits. Milk my tits. Paul, you have every... you have my blessing to meme that pretty hard. But Paul, what are your thoughts?
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know if this was the first Connery I saw. It was either this or Goldfinger, though. And yeah, I like it. I still like it. This is the latest Connery that I've seen so far, so it's all new territory after this. But this is definitely, not really by a long shot, but it's definitely my favorite of the ones so far. It's got vibes.
Whoa.
I like underwater. Unlike Goldfinger, it looks good. Unlike Goldfinger, the women are not actively screaming at him as he jumps on them. And vibes.
Baby steps.
I like vibes. Look, does this movie need to be 2 hours and 15 minutes? No.
Does this podcast need to be 2 hours and 15 minutes? No.
And I don't know if, yeah, I mean, maybe this is another hot take that I'm going to start nurturing, but, you know, we're living in an age here in the year 2020 when Joe Schmo goes to see a movie and they tell you, how long is it? And you're like, it's over 2 hours. And people are like, why are movies so long now? And that's how I feel about these films that are 60 years old. There's really no reason that your baseline...
Why did we choose you as our producer, though?
I have diplomatic immunity. You can't fire me without a millions and severance.
Are you gonna hit us with a Kevin McClory lawsuit?
That's right. You can fire me, but I'm going to be credited producer on every episode.
If you look closely at Paul Snow's fine print, it says written by Kevin McClory.
Look real close. It's like in Blade Runner when they open up my DNA. It's like written by Kevin. But the toupee, I mean, I guess maybe it's like not even because it's underwater, but it looks pretty damn good to me. So thumbs up on both counts. They just get better and better, folks.
I want to meet everyone halfway here. I think Thunderball is the best Sean Connery movie to show to babies and other people who have not seen a Sean Connery James Bond movie before. Also, when he's in the orange jumpsuit, he looks like a giant baby bottle.
That's why we want to milk him.
Yeah.
Milk his tits.
All right. Any final thoughts on You Only Live Twice, the highest grossing Bond film for like decades? Because people love water.
Thunderball.
Oh yeah, that's right, guys. Next week we're doing You Only Live Twice, right? That one's not bad. What? What? No.
Oh no.
What?
You think next week we're doing You Only Live Twice? Our namesake? Absolutely not.
What?
For there is another.
No, not. No. No.
Get ready for some Woody Allen, motherfucker.
I'm genuinely thirsty for milk now.